Yeah, I hope that you hearing me. This is the future, all about cybersecurity. Talking about the hackers, I'm just trying to warn you. From the one and only legend, the cyber informer. Hey, yeah, this is the cyber reformer. This is the cyber reformer. Let's go.
It's time for the Cybersecurity Business Connect and Protect Central Coast Q&A video. I am Michael Trimblett, the Cyber Informer, and today we'll be answering the question, what is physical security? In celebration of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we want to make you aware of all the threats to your business. Have you thought about how your business is physically secured? This video will touch on various factors and mitigation techniques relating to physical security. Let's go. Question: what is physical security? The answer according to Google is physical security is a protection of hardware, software, networks, and data from physical actions and events that could cause serious loss or damage to an enterprise, agency, or institution. Let's have a look at some of the things you need to consider regarding physical security. Physical security is the most overlooked area of security. You can have all of the security technology set up in your network, such as intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems, firewalls, antivirus, and security policies, but that will do nothing if the hacker is already plugged into the network, firing virtual bullets at your servers and infrastructure. Physical access is more of a high-risk activity for a hacker versus virtual methods. There is a real possibility they'll be caught and taken to jail, or worse, if they make a brazen attempt to flee law enforcement. Physical access is seen as much more personal than virtual attacks. For example, if a bad guy phones a company and says, "I've hacked your systems," the response will be, "Okay, thanks, we'll get onto that." But if the bad guy called the company and said he broke into the building, sat in the CEO's chair, and plugged in a keylogger, suddenly, staff of the business will go into a meltdown. Hacking is more about people than it is technology, and that's never truer than when using physical methods to enable cyber activities. Physical Security 101. Installing locks on the doors and server racks is not enough. What if a hacker can join your Wi-Fi access point? What if they walk in and plant a device in your server room, or even in a disused data wall socket? If you've seen Mr. Robot, in Season 1, Elliot was able to plug in a backdoor device in the Steel Mountain facility, using a disused data point in a closet after wandering away from a company tour. Back in the social engineering video, company tours can be an effective way of performing physical reconnaissance. In Mr. Robot's case, it was a way in. The not-so-obvious physical circumstances can be natural, such as earthquakes, fires, and floods, or man-made, ranging from vandalism and theft to terrorism. This is where you really need to be sure you have a robust backup solution conforming to the 3-2-1 backup rule in place. The entire physical security system needs to take into account and provide measures to reduce or eliminate the risks involved. There's no use having all of the technology security in the world when anyone can walk in, pick up your server, and leave. Getting back to what I said about Mr. Robot. If you saw this in your server room, or connected to a network point in your business, what would you do? Would you disconnect it because you don't know what it is and risk getting reprimanded by management or your IT provider because you broke something? Or would you leave it, potentially allowing a hacker to access your network? This is what's called a LAN turtle. It gives an instant backdoor to the network. The answer to the "what would you do" question should be disconnected. There are 3 components to physical security. Physical measures include all of the things you can touch, taste, smell, or get shocked by. Other physical concerns include lighting, locks, fences, and guards. Concerned about a ram raid? Install bollards to prevent attackers taking advantage of the physical layout of the building. Technical measures. These are measures with technology to protect explicitly at the physical level. These could be smart cards and biometrics. Operational measures are the policies and procedures set up to enforce security-minded operation. These include, but are not limited to, background checks on employees, risk assessment on devices, and policies regarding key management and storage. Physical access controls are physical measures designed to prevent access to controlled areas. Biometric controls, identification, entry cards, door locks, and Mantraps. Remember back to our multi-factor authentication video. The multi-factors are something you know, something you have, and something you are. Something you know authentication includes something you need to remember, like a password or PIN. Something you have authentication includes something physical such as identification cards, photo ID, smart cards, magnetic swipe cards, and tokens. Something you are includes fingerprint readers, face scanners, retina scanners, and voice recognition. Biometrics are susceptible to false negatives to deny a legitimate user access and even worse, allow access to unauthorized users. This is the primary reason Apple dropped fingerprint scanners in their iPhones, opting for Face ID instead. As a side note, and to build on the reason Apple dropped fingerprint scanners, biometric systems' effectiveness is measured by 3 key areas of importance. False rejection rate, FRR. This is the percentage of time a biometric reader will deny access to a legitimate user. False acceptance rate, FAR, the percentage of time an unauthorized user is granted access by the system. Crossover error rate, or CER. The FRR and FAR are charted on a graph, and the CER is where they meet. This becomes the ranking of the system. A CER of 2 is better than a CER of 4, as CER 2 would be more accurate. Apple would have looked at these key areas in their products and made the business decision to remove fingerprint scanners due to a CER that was higher than their acceptable threshold. The Mantrap is purely a physical access control. A Mantrap is usually a clear-walled small room. 2 doors are used to create a small space where the person must enter and close the first door before the second door will activate. If authentication fails on the second door, the person will be trapped until security arrives to work out the situation. Usually these are monitored with video surveillance or guards and can be quite intimidating. Remember back to the social engineering video. Man-traps are specifically designed to prevent tailgating and piggybacking. I've not seen a small business implement these, but they exist for larger operations. Everything has a mitigation strategy. It's just limited by imagination and budget. You may have heard of defense in depth. Layered security, or defense in depth, is a thought process which does not rely on any single method of defense, but rather stacking several layers between the asset and the attacker. This will take into account physical, technical, and operational measures. If all else fails, having a solid disaster recovery and contingency plans in place in the event something catastrophic does happen. The Cybersecurity Academy has a how-to video series on setting up a robust disaster recovery and backup solution based on the 3-2-1 backup rule, using the Shadow Protect software suite. My final thought. There is one absolute truism. Hackers do not care that you have a policy. It's great to have a policy, however, don't just rely on them on their own. The attacker doesn't work for you and couldn't care less about your policies. Ensure you have technical and physical controls to back up your policies. What did we learn? Physical security is the most overlooked area of security. The 3 components of physical security are physical, technical, and operational. Biometrics are susceptible to false positives and false negatives. All businesses should consider defense in depth methodology. Hackers don't care about your policies. Thank you for joining me for a look at physical security. Hackers are getting more brazen. Would you know if someone has physically entered your building and set up a base? How many of the attacks we just looked at did you know about? Don't forget, you can contact me via email, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Have you booked your free one-on-one cybersecurity assessment? To book it, visit loyalit.com.au/register. Until next time, stay safe online.
Oh yeah, this is the Cyber Informer. Hackers, you going down like, oh yeah, this is the Cyber Informer. Hackers, you going down, yeah.